Yeah, I'm missing my colleague Professor Arnab Bhattacharya a lot. I wish he were here. He's part of the consortium, the BharatGen consortium. Also missing my colleague Professor Ravi Kiran, works a lot in manuscript digitization. So, again, an honor that all of you are here, and thanks for some fabulous work you've been doing very tirelessly over the years. Um, the three things I wanted to highlight, especially from the point of view of the strength that BharatGen and its members, the prior work we bring to the table. One is, of course, the OCR, optical character recognition part itself. It's BharatGen and its predecessor in some sense, where many of us are associated, the Bhashini initiative from the Ministry of IT. We have done a lot of work on getting provenance. Provenance is basically explainability, right? Through the entire OCR process. If you just get the OCR dump out, and if you are not able to edit it and iterate on it to perfection, it can create more noise than signal, right? So you want to increase the signal to noise ratio, and that's a provenance. That's what I was trying to ask you, right? When you had this output, OCR output, did you have the HOCR, right? It's like it's an XML rendering of the same page. Think of it as a logical rendering, right? So HTML pages have a logical structure. Physically, the table that you see in an HTML page, um, uh, which you view, the physical structure, logically can be represented in maybe 5 different ways, right? So bringing the a kind of disentangling the logical structure from the physical structure, so that there is the provenance through which human in the loop can help improve the OCR output. That's one thing we have worked extensively on. So while there are some off-the-shelf OCR tools, and Google, sometimes people say Google OCR does well. What we have realized is if you want to perfect it, the ecosystem we have built can be very useful. In fact, we have done this not only for digitizing hundreds of books from Kerala School of Mathematics, and there are a lot of them in Sanskrit. That's one use case. If you go to IIT Bombay tilde OCR, right, CSE IIT Bombay and OCR site, you'll find the list of the very large list of books we have been digitizing over years. Um, and in fact, we rendered very ancient books on mathematics, as I said, in back in sorry. Yeah, Leelavati is one example, but there are zillions of books in mathematics. So that's one thing we did. The second thing we did is also, since you talked about dictionaries, we worked with the Commission for Scientific and Technical Terminology. So there's been a lot of work from the time of former Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, and then of course it died down, and now over the last maybe 10 years it has been revived, creating a lot of technical dictionary. When I say technical dictionary, it also includes humanities, philosophy, but of course science, mathematics, and what we find is very interestingly across all Indian languages, a lot of technical terms which we thought we didn't have, plenty of them exist, right? So in fact, sometimes you're surprised whether English words actually owe their origin to the Indian counterpart. So we have done that. In fact, tens of thousands of pages we have actually been able to digitize using the same pipeline. So if you go to CSTT, Commission for Scientific and Technical Terminology, you'll find they're acknowledging the work we have done. So the mention of dictionaries really rang those bells. Not only did we digitize, we also used dictionary constrained processes for rendering text across Indian languages. So if you want to translate from Bengali to English, you would not want to compromise on the technical terms. You don't want to mess around with them, right, and lose the spirit. So non-translatables is one example. But how do you ingest that in a machine learning pipeline? So we are very happy that we won an Impactful Research Award for that entire ecosystem we built, where we could actually help the Ministry of Education translate hundreds and hundreds of books into Indian languages, technical books into Indian languages, so using dictionaries, right? And through that, we also build a lot of tools. So it's not just translations, but the tools that give you the provenance, human in the loop. The second thing I want to bring out is now, since we talk about multiple Indian languages, what is also interesting is the commonality they share. So my colleague Professor Arnab Bhattacharya, who is at IIT Kanpur, he understands, speaks beautiful Bengali. And what we found is that if you go maybe even a few decades back, even Hindi, the kind of Hindi that was written is very different from what it is today. We had long words, and And of course, if you go even further back down, you'll find that Bengali sounds like Sanskrit, right? So things are of course smooth, changed, but despite those changes, the semantic structure, the syntactic structure across Indian languages, marvelous commonality. Right? What are the commonalities? First of all, of the word order. English is, Ram eats mango, right? Which is subject, verb, object. But all Indian languages are, subject, object, verb. Ram aam khata hai. You take any Indian language, you'll find the same. So there's a lot of syntactic similarity. And the syntactic similarity gets further magnified when you start looking at word groups, grouping words together. If you go down the English path, which is unfortunately what has been thrusted upon Indian languages from a computational linguistics perspective, is you start enforcing part of speech tags, noun, verbs on Indian languages, right? But that actually brings Indian languages further apart from each other. But moment you start looking at word groups, relationship between words, you just need 3 word groups largely. We have a book, by the way. I'll be happy to share a copy with you called Samanvay. We brought this Samanvay book as almost 2.5 years of labor of love towards Indian languages. And this it's pivoted on word groups of 3 types. The whole analysis was done from a Paninian perspective. I'm not saying we forced Sanskrit, but yes, Sanskrit was a big source of inspiration. So if you look at Namapadam, right, which is often Namapadam largely goes as under the name of Subanta, right? Kriyapadam, that is Tiganta, and the derived forms from verbs, like what we call in English as gerunds, right? Kridanta. So largely, if you have these 3 word groups, you'll find that coming up with canonical dependency relations or semantic relations across word groups becomes very easy, right? And associating all the things that we used to talk about in English, like part of speech tag, gender, number, if you can do that with word groups, I mean, you'll find that all Indian languages have such a similar representation. So I think that has also given us a lot of confidence that if we use this lens, rendering across Indian languages can be much easier. That's also one of the underpinnings of the BharatGen initiative. For those who have been following the news on DeepSeek, right? Yes, and it has also, of course, broken the illusion that OpenAI had created about lot of compute. We are on it for a long time for Indian languages. I mean, all credit to DeepSeek for breaking the ice as far as compute efficiency for English is concerned. But as far as Indian language is concerned, Samanvay is a very, very viable path for making what DeepSeek is trying to do through compute efficiency and data efficiency, right? So that's the second point I wanted to share. And the third point I wanted to share is, well, I think this is a great moment to celebrate as well, because not only trying to bring technology to fore, but we're also trying to create a strong precedent now of working on Indian knowledge systems, partners who have invested a lot of energy and their heart and soul in bringing treasure of literature to the fore, and specifically here, a lot of beautiful Bengali literature from the Vaishnava tradition. So we are very happy with this, because that's one thing that BharatGen stands for. Language is not just language, it's not just script, it is culture, it is entire thought process. Right? The favorite example I always give is, across Indian languages, if you had to express the fact that I broke my hand, right? In English you would say I broke my hand, right? But you take any Indian languages, Hindi में क्या बोलेंगे आप? मेरा हाथ टूट गया, right? Bengali आप क्या बोलेंगे? हाथ भेंगे कैसे? हाँ, so होने वाली बात होती है यहाँ पर, right? It's not that I broke my hand. I mean, the doer is not just me. In fact, Bhagavad Gita is a very clear statement. Krishna talks about 5 kinds of doers. He talks about 5 kinds of doers. Adhishtanam tatha karta, karanam cha pratak vidam, veda cha pratak cheshta, daivam chaivatra panchavam. So 5 karta hai. So language is it's a lot of thought process as well, right? Anyways, in English we have I is capitalized. So the script also kind of reflects thought processes. But the point is, we have to use this opportunity and hopefully get a snowballing effect from this arrangement, so that many other Indian languages, their literature can be brought to effective use of course through research, but also give back and make sure that Indian languages hog the limelight as they were used, right? I mean, we should break the jinx that English has created. And Gen AI, I believe, is that opportunity. And if we actually miss out on that, it'll maybe recolonization 2.0, right? So with that constructive note, right, there's, I think, a great moment to celebrate. Thanks again. We look forward to work together. And I think we have a beautiful, capable leadership team here from BharatGen, in the form of Rishiji, Pankaj, Rashmi, Tushar. Of course, Nitish is heading our entire data team. We have Dr. Amol. Amol has also been part of this team. And I think all of them share this common dream. I'm sorry, Smriti, I forgot to introduce you. There's an entire OCR team with whom I was having my call, then I had to step out. So they're going to be very critical for this entire initiative. So with that note, of course, I've not introduced the entire BharatGen team. Maybe some other time we'll get to organically start meeting some of them. Thanks again. Look forward to working together.